Hi everyone, Elisa with Jots Designs. In this video, I'm going to show how, basically describe how we put together my island here and the drying curing rack over here, and then all the details about other things and how they were put together, including the closet here. Definitely check out the other video, which is more a tour of everything I have and how I have it organized, things like that. Let me know if you have any questions, and also check out the description for any links. And I will get started here with my island. So my dad and I put this together. Basically, I just kind of figured out kind of what I needed and things like that, made up my own diagram, I guess. So no plans really. The only plans we really actually had were for the leveling system, which I'll describe in a little bit here. But I had a big sheet, 4x8 of plywood already, kind of inherited it from my grandpa. So we just used that and cut it down. I think it's 42 inches by 93 or something like that. So not quite the 4x8, just to cut it down to size to fit more proportionally to the bottom and the space as well. For supports, we used some 4x4s. We've also got some 2x4s, and then also some 1x3s here for the shelving. This bottom shelf is just 1/2 inch MDF, and it's fronted and supported by a 1x3. I'm sorry, a 1x2. And the other shelves here are actually the doors from the closet, because I really had nowhere to store them, so I figured I would utilize them. So the doors themselves, there was 2 doors, of course, and they're the kind that fold and accordion out a little bit. So each door had 2 panels basically. So we just separated one side and used the 2 sections here for the shelves here, and then the other door we just left solid, and it's actually a support underneath the top here. So you can see that under here. And we just used L brackets to connect it to all the 4x4 supports. On the end, we have also a 4x4 support in the center, and then 2x4 down on the bottom to support that. And over here, the bottom shelf here is actually continuation and part of that bottom shelf over there. So we just cut out the center basically and left that all intact. And then these shelves are also just 1/2 inch, yes, 1/2 inch, sorry, MDF. And we have a 2x3 here for support for the shelves on both sides. And then for the heat gun and hair dryer, I'm sorry about the shaking. I am definitely hand holding my phone here. But this is actually a like curling iron hair dryer holder, but the way that it would have mounted would have caused me to continuously hit the cabinet and have a hard time pulling them out. So we just added some 1x2s here, just kind of whatever we figured would work for support. Just get in here a little bit so you can see that better. And you can see like we had to adjust a couple things, so we added a piece of wood there just to make sure everything was squared up properly and fit properly and things like that. On this side, I have my paper roll. This is freezer paper, but we had some 2x8s that we cut to size so we could put these hooks on there to support that. And below that, just added some pegboard that I painted. And I'm sorry, this side does not have a 4x4 in the center. It has a 2x4 for support. And that's it for the main structure of it. We added some caster wheels down here, so it makes it easy to move the whole table around. had to add additional pieces of 2x4 so that they would be the right height and whatnot. And then I will include a link on how we made these. But basically, I would take this wrench and I can adjust these bolts on top. It lowers or raises the little feet that are on the bottom. And again, there's 2 on this side, 2 on the opposite side. But then I can level the whole entire table and make it basically so it's not even going to roll too. All right, so that is how we made my island. All right, to go over my lighting, of course I have the ceiling light, and I do have some LED bulbs in there, super bright, daylight balanced. Everything is daylight balanced in here. And problem with that light though is that it would be reflecting directly onto my resin pieces and I'd see the glare and the lights and everything. So I got lights to put on the side. These are LED shop lights, and we just hung them up with some carabiners and stuck the those special hooks into the beams in the ceiling, and then angled it down to point at the table rather than straight across or straight down. Over here near the sewing table area, I have just a little light that brightens up that area. That's also at daylight balance, and daylight balance is 5000 K, which is Kelvin temperature. And in here, this is just a 4-foot. It's got 2 bulbs in there. Kind of hard to see. Let me. There we go. Makes it super bright. Everything is super bright in here when these are on. And actually, with those, they just plug in. So what my dad did is he connected it to light switches. There's one on that side for that one, and then there is one over there as well. But it was a pain in the butt to walk around each time. I had to turn one on, turn the other one on, that kind of thing. So I actually have both of them plugged into some smart plugs, and then I can just tell my Google to turn on the art room or turn it off. Makes it super handy. All right, so for the shelving over here is just MDF, 1/2 inch MDF, and I covered it with adhesive shelf paper. And then I just had a bunch of L brackets already, and then purchased some more just because that's way cheaper than getting a whole shelving system for the back there. And just cut them to size and put the L brackets in the studs. And then also, just to make sure that the shelves didn't move, I did attach it in 2 of the brackets on each shelf. And then for the drying rack, this is a mosquito net. It comes in a very large sheet. Basically, it's meant to put over a tent kind of a thing. And then I just had to trim it to make sure it went just from ceiling to floor without having anything drag or anything like that. And then we attached it at the ceiling. I can't think of what that rail is called, but it's basically like in hospital rooms for the curtains. You can use it for shower curtains, things like that. So I did have to add in some grommets at the top there. So I just folded over the netting, had some material in there for, sorry, my finger's huge. Ooh, sorry. Material in there for just support so the netting itself didn't tear or anything more, and then added in the grommet so that way I could put the S hooks in there and then clamped those down so they wouldn't come off of the netting itself. And then for the rack, we've got 1x2s here for some support. The main structure is made of 2x3s, and using some L brackets here just for the shelving. I didn't attach the shelves in any way, so that way they can slide in and out. We did support each piece with some supports, but just because of the material that it is, it wasn't enough support, and they will bow. with enough weight. So I often don't actually use this while a piece is curing, but once it's cured, I'll store things in here so that way they can continue to rest and fully cure and things like that. Fairly simple. Again, no plans really, just kind of saw things and came up with our own. So that is the drying rack and those shelves. Let me move on to this little cabinet here. This was actually just half of an armoire that I've had more than half my life. And I just broke down the top of it, left these bottom drawers, which have material in it, and just painted that. So I didn't really have to build that or anything. I just basically took off the top. Okay, in this corner, they are just simple shelves supported by L brackets. I've got the pegboard here covered in shelf paper, adhesive shelf paper, and this is actually MDF, half-inch MDF, just because I knew I'd need more support, which I used to have quite a bit on top of there, just finally reduced that down last week. Pretty simple. For this counter here, I purchased this cabinet, which actually included this, but it was turned and attached to the side here. But I purchased that from the Habitat for Humanity restore that's in town. And luckily, I was able to detach that portion of it because having shelves on that side would just not make sense and they really just would not be used. But luckily, I was able to take it off. So I put it over there, and it's helping support the top here with this 2x4. It's attached here and then attached to the, actually it's not, it's just sitting there. Yep, nope, just sitting there. It's attached to this and then just supporting the top. And the top is MDF that we just cut to size, sanded down. It's being protected by vinyl, which you can buy by the yard. And then all I needed to do really was paint them, and that's it. And then moving over to the closet here, I'm going to start from the bottom and just work up. This bottom shelf under here is just MDF, half-inch MDF supported by L brackets underneath. They're painted white, so harder to see. But I did that MDF so that way it was a more sturdy shelf. And then this is also MDF, but it's 3/4 inch MDF. And underneath here, supported by L brackets on the side, and then we have wood along each wall for support there, and then also the L bracket here. Along the front, it has a 2x4 attached for support, and this also kind of hides the electrical cord so I can have power up top. The closet itself was longer than 8 feet, so we did have to custom cut kind of another section here just to fit that in there. But it also has a hole that we kept in there so that the cords could come through. And the shelves are pegboard, which you can see there, but covered in just adhesive shelf paper. And they're supported by these. And it's basically a really, really long screw. So it just goes all the way top to bottom. We did also have to cut some off. But they just go through one of the holes in the pegboard, and then we have nuts and washers on both sides. And that just keeps the shelves in place, and we were able to get them evenly separated. And it kind of makes its own little cubby that way as well. Here, where, again, because it's longer than 8 feet, we put one end on that side, and so we had to make extra shelves over on this side. We attached those with some plates, and I believe rivets is what they're called, just through the holes in the pegboard and then through the holes on the plates. And so that's, you can see the top here and the bottom there. And then the shelves are supported by L brackets on the wall. Some of them are upside down like this one where the shelf is sitting on top of it entirely. And then others on the back side here, you can see it sticking up there and then coming out the bottom. So it's actually sitting like a shelf would on an L bracket. Again, no plans for this kind of thing, just something my dad thought up of. The shelves over here on the side are pretty much the same. Have the brackets on the walls, and then it's supported over here in this corner the same way. And that's it. All right, so if you guys have any questions, definitely let me know. I'd be happy to answer them. And don't forget to check out the other video with the tour of how I organize things. And I will see you guys next time. Bye.